Sound? Maybe? Yes? Hi, everybody! How's everyone doing? Yes, we just had a fun combination about dick hats and how we probably shouldn't wear our dick hats tomorrow because we have several parties of children. So this is what we get up to at the end of the week at Beading Dreams when we're all really tired and we know we have to make it through one more day. And that day involves 2 kid parties. We get pretty weird. Than we already are. So hi everybody.
Doing a lot of work.
I'm assuming you can hear me since nobody said you can't hear me yet. So hi Julie and hi Lori and hi Lurking Keiko. And so tonight's class is single loop in loop chain. I haven't taught this one in a while, so this is going to be fun because this could be a single loop in loop chain tutorial, or this could be an episode of Allison Screws Up on the Internet, because we haven't had one of those in a hot minute. Oh my gosh, what the heck? So yeah, we haven't had one of those in a hot minute. So the fates may bring their hammer down hard on me today. We shall see if I actually can or cannot remember how to teach this class. So single loop in loop chain is it's actually okay. So loop in loop chain is pretty cool and also fairly complicated. And hold on, is Kenneth posting more AI cats? Because if there are AI cats, I need to know.
No.
What? Where?
Yeah, Lori can help you out with the instructions there.
Oh, right? Oh my gosh. Christmas will be retrograde free. The bad news is the new year starts with a backward moving celestial jerk. Great. What a wonderful way to ring in the new year. Oh my god. I love Kenneth and all of his weirdness. It's fantastic. And it's like his weirdness is a very slow burn. Like
I know, it's awesome. It sneaks up on you,
and then all of a sudden you're just covered in the weird, and it's great. So I'm gonna try and wing it, Lori, because I think it's gonna be funner that way. I may be regretting that decision shortly, but for now we are going to try and wing it. I'm gonna see how good I really am at this. Thank you for the gnome army. That's freaking fantastic. Okay, so this is a torch class, so you need all your torch accoutrement. I'm still having my kind of experimental relationship with liquid flux, so I'm going to be using liquid flux tonight instead of the paste flux that you usually see me use. Of course, you're going to need a torch. You are going to need a soldering surface. You are going to need to not wear your hair down like I am, lest you set it on fire. I think there are bobby pins on my work surface. Oh wait, I have a hair fork. Duh. I did this already the other day. I have a hair containment device that I have staged in my work area and yet keep forgetting that it's there. So yeah, loose hair tied back because we don't want it to set on fire. No Allison head on fire on stream. That would be bad. Yes. So alright, so we're gonna put the hair up and be safe. Don't set shit on fire. And all of that. So here we go. Alright, so what the hell? I don't know what my hair is doing now that it's in the hair fork, but at least hopefully it's not gonna set on fire. So torch, soldering surface, flux, theoretically pickle in a pickle pot. I'm just going to go without because I'm going to tumble mine. You're going to need some solder. I happen to grab medium solder. Every single link is going to be done individually, so it really doesn't matter so much what kind of solder you use. You can use medium, you can use easy, you can use extra easy. Like I said, medium is what I grabbed, so medium is what I'm using. You're going to need a dowel. So we're going to form each link as a circle, and then we're going to stretch it, pinch it, and fold it. So basically your dowel circumference is going to wind up being, your link is going to wind up being half that, because we're going to fold it in half. So I've got my dowel. I'm going to make some smaller links than I did on my original sample. We're going to see how that works out for me. Again, changing the project at the last minute. This is not always a good thing, but we're trying it anyway. Because you know what? Sometimes you just got to do stupid shit on the internet. And then some 18 gauge wire. And I'm going to be using 18 gauge sterling silver. Nope, come back here. 18 gauge sterling silver. Okay, so loop and loop chain. Let's go back to talking about what that is, and let's see, does Allison have a photo of this that she can drop in the frame? Loop and loop chain, or more precisely, double loop in loop chain looks very much like Viking knit. However, I do not have a photo. Excuse me while I die. Anyway, okay, so...
Excuse me while I whip this out.
That's just not attractive looking at all. So anyway. I want my photo. Sorry, bear with me. I'm going to find the photo. Which means I need my keyboard. Okay, so loop and loop chain is a very, very old style of chain, and it looks very similar to Viking knit. The difference is it's made with short pieces of wire, and the reason that this is significant is that you can date the beginning of Viking knit to the time when, I'm sorry, I'm like scrolling and talking, and I don't know that my brain is really up for that right now. This is all way too recent. But anyway, you can date Viking knit to the time when human beings actually...
There it is.
What?
Lori posted it.
Oh, the picture?
Yes.
Thank you, Lori. You're the best. She's like, I'm sick of watching you stare into nothingness. Anyway, so you can date Viking knit to the time when human people, hi Brune! Thank you, again, Lori, finally figured out how to manufacture long lengths of wire, because you can't do Viking knit with, 1 and 2 inch pieces of wire. It does not work. So loop and loop chain looks, like I said, very similar to Viking knit, but the technique can be dated much earlier because this is something that you can make with short, small pieces of wire. So it's interesting if you do the research on the thing. So the loop and loop chain that looks like Viking knit is double loop and loop chain, okay? That's more complicated, and I ain't so good at it. So we're going to do single loop and loop chain today, which is much simpler. So we're going to do that with 18 gauge wire. And if you're going to make this into an actual wearable piece of jewelry, of course, you're going to need a clasp. But our focus tonight is going to more just be on the fabrication of the chain. I'm not going to make an entire bracelet. I'm probably going to make about 6 or 7 links so you can see how they go together, and then I'll show you where you would put on the clasp. But the focus tonight is going to be really on making the links and seeing how they go together rather than making a finished piece of jewelry, because the only difference between making 6 links of chain and making 20 links of chain is time and materials. So I'm going to start with my 18 gauge wire and my dowel. And I'm going to move this aside. So many things and not enough places to put them. Keyboard, you go over there. And you go here. So one of the cool things that you can do, which by the way I've not done to my dowel, but if you're doing a lot of looping type stuff, one of the best things that you can do for yourself is drill a hole in your dowel or dowels of choice. That's really, really, really bright. So hold on. Let me unbright that a little bit. Okay, so it doesn't quite look like it's dying in the heat of 1,000 suns. Yeah, that's a little bit more normal. So one of the best things you can do for yourself is drill a hole in your dowel. Once again, I haven't done that. So, obviously I don't love myself, but you should practice self-love and self-care and drill a hole in your dowel. The reason for that is what you can do when you're making coils, which is what I'm about to do, is you can actually stick your wire down into this mythical hole that you've drilled in your dowel, and then it'll essentially hold it for you, and you don't have to spend as much effort to hold it in place. But if you don't have a hole in your dowel, no big deal. You're just going to hold your wire on your dowel. I'm actually going to go this way. This dowel is very long. So I'm just going to hold my wire on my dowel. And this is a smaller dowel, like I said, that I used for my sample. This is a 1/2 inch dowel, so I'm going to see how a smaller size link works with this 18 gauge wire. Like I said, I may regret this decision, and I may regret this decision very soon. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make some coils on my dowel. So if you're trying to make a series of circles and you're trying to make them all the same size, the best way to do that is to start by making a coil. This is true if you're making chain links, if you're making jump rings, whatever. Start by making a coil. Now, your armature around which you're coiling your wire should be slightly smaller than the size you actually want your coils to be, because what's going to happen when you let go of your tension is that. So see how it sprang up and it got a little bit bigger? So you want to make sure that you've got a slightly smaller mandrel, dowel, whatever, than you actually want your cord. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim these. So I'm going to take my flush cutter, not a flesh cutter, though if anybody knows me, sometimes it's that too. And I'm just going to snip that. And I'm going to talk about the flush cutter in a little bit more depth in a minute. I just wanted to get that off of that big old coil because it's a little bit unwieldy. Okay, so here's my coil that has been removed from the rest of my wire. So these are all going to become individual circles that are going to turn into my loop in loop chain. Really, such buzz. Wow, I don't have the stream sniffles tonight. I like the stream phlegm attack. Okay, so when you're using a flush cutter, the flat side of the cutter cuts flush. The side of the cutter that is notched in does not. It cuts a pointy end. So when I'm cutting things that I'm going to solder, I want to make sure that I'm using the flush side of my cutter on both ends. So I'm going to start at one end of my circle and I'm going to cut flush with the flush side of my cutter towards the part of my wire that's going to stay, and I'm going to snip. And then I'm going to rotate my cutter 180 degrees and I'm going to go, oh my gosh, stop buzzing. I'm going to go to my next coil and I'm going to, so much buzz, so many notifications. So anyway, let's put that back there. I'm going to go to the next coil and I'm going to once again take the flush side of my cutters and snip, so that what I have now is I have two flush ends, and then I have my pointy end from my cutter is stuck here. So now I'm going to start again. So I'm going to cut off the pointy end like so, and then I'm going to flip my cutters and I'm going to cut my next coil. Flip my cutters back, flush cut my end, cut my coil, flush cut my end, cut my coil. So you can do this with a saw. You can just saw your entire coil and that's totally fine. If you don't have a bench that you work at, typically it's a little bit more of a pain, like for me to bust out my saw, whereas my cutters are always near to hand. So that's really just your own choice. So now I've got all of my circles, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tension fit them just a little bit, and I am going to have to file these just a tad. So if you have a nice flush cutter, you shouldn't have to file them too much, but unfortunately for everyone, we are still going to have to file them a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of get them into my circle shape. And then I'm gonna grab a file. And what I just want to do is I want to knock off the burrs that are left from the cutting. I'm just gonna grab myself a flat file. It's actually a half round file, but it's got a flat side, which is really all I need. And I'm just gonna take each of my circles, I'm gonna open it up, and then I'm just going to hold it nice and firmly, she says, and then just file that flat. And then flip it around, do the same to the other side. Okay, and don't do what I just did. Did you see I kind of dropped off at the end? That's not good. You want to stay straight. Okay, you want to drive the bus in a straight line. And then we're going to bring that together, and ideally what we should have is we should have a nice tight joint with no airspace. I think we're both getting allergies, because also Heather always sounds like that.
Hi, Rune.
The phlegm thing for me is a little bit novel, but not surprising considering allergies and stuff. And now it's on the floor. Maybe she just saves all of the cuffs for the stream. Okay, so there we go. So I want a nice tight joint with no light showing. If I hold it up to the light, I don't want to see any light through the joint. So this one's now ready to solder. And one of the cool things about the loop and loop chain is that we're going to solder them and then we're going to join them together. So you don't have to worry about kind of balancing them so that you can solder them whilst they are joined. So I'm going to just real quick do that on the rest of these. So how's everybody doing? Anybody do anything exciting today?
I got cheese.
You did, and bread. I saw bread.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It is. I have food.
It's delivered by a very, very nice man who did not speak English.
He spoke enough.
He kept asking me a question in whatever language he was speaking that I did not understand. So I guessed. Okay, so it's 3. Oh, so yes. Good luck with the meal subscription service.
Ooh, soup.
Okay, so that's my third one. So I'm just going to do these other 3 quickly. I mean, it's finally soup weather, at least. But after that thing I made yesterday, I really, really want to make yellow curry.
Yes, you should.
And if I make the chicken separately, I can share it with you.
Yeah.
It's 85 degrees. Oh my gosh. Rune, where is Rune? That's 85 degrees.
Florida.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, they could have been chilling on like some Caribbean island or something. But Florida is also good. Southern edge of Florida. Got it. I have an old friend who's in the Keys, which honestly I don't know where in Florida the Keys are. But she's a real estate agent, and so she posts on her Facebook page like just pictures of these adorable little houses, and I'm like, I want to go live there. So yeah, not going to go live there, but the houses are so freaking cute. Okay, so now I've got these all ready to solder, so I'm going to grab my soldering stuff, and I'm going to cut 6 pieces of solder because I have 6 items to solder, and I want to make sure when I'm laying them out that I've got my joints all placed where I can tell where they are. This is the bad thing about if you make really good joints is sometimes it's hard to see. Like that is my joint right there. The camera is not really picking it up much. So what I will do is I will put all my joints at say 12 o'clock relative to myself, and that way even if I can't see it, I know approximately where it's gonna be. So much yelly people.
Seriously.
Like, do you have to say goodbye at that volume?
In front of our store?
Right? Go yell goodbye in front of somebody else's store.
Yeah.
Wait, where's my joint? There it is. Okay. So I've got all my 6 there, and they are ready to... Oh, wow. That's crazy. Sorry, I hate burns. Burns are the worst. They are just like insidious little bastards.
Yes.
Like I can say I would rather have a cut than a burn, because I have a cut and a burn on the same hand. This one's fine. This one still hurts. As I'm about to light up a torch, I do appreciate the irony of this situation. Okay.
Well, as long as you do.
Wait. Is this your fan that's back in my thing?
Nope. I had mine. I still don't know where the Hawaii fan is, but...
Okay.
No, you didn't actually steal it. It wasn't you. It just...
Oh, wow. Well,
yeah.
That's weird. Because usually it's
it?
Definitely me.
It was not this time. Good job.
Sorry, I need a brush. Okay, so wait, who's marrying machines? Ah, got it. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and flux these. My new fancy liquid flux, which I'm still not sure if I love, but I'm still not sure if I hate, which is why I'm still using it. Alright, and then I've got 6 pieces to solder, so I'm going to cut 6 pieces of solder. Again, we cut VV small pieces of solder, okay? We do not need large pieces of solder. We need very, very tiny bits. Okay, that right there, that's my piece of solder. So I'm just going to clip that, and I'm going to set it somewhere where I can find it, so I can place it in just a minute. 3, 4, 5. One more makes 6.
Yeah, ice is pretty amazing.
It's true. I don't like being cold either, but when my knees are being bastards, knee peas for the win. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take my solder chips and I'm going to place them at my joints. So you can use tweezers for this, or I am totally cheating and I'm just using my flux brush with a little bit of flux on it to just kind of suction them up. Okay, so now each joint has a piece of solder that is touching it. So let's see. And you can't see any of them. That's awesome. That's just great. Okay, so on this one here, the solder is right there. Okay, you can actually see that one. So that's my piece of solder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up until it's hot enough for the solder to flow, and then I'm going to put my heat here and pull that solder through my joint. I'm going to do that for all of those. But first I'm going to locate a lighter. Oh, structural damage is the worst. There we go. Theoretically, this is a self-igniting torch. However, my torch igniter croaked, which, considering that I've had these torches for 10 plus years, isn't completely surprising. So I'm going to start by heating these babies up, and I'm just going to do kind of a general heat, because if I heat them too aggressively, what's going to happen is the flux is going to boil, and it's going to kick that solder off. So I just want to heat, and what I'm looking for is a little bit of crustiness where the flux is on all of these. And then I'm going to go one at a time, and I'm just going to heat the circle and then heat the other side of the joint and try and get that solder to pull through. Okay, so did you see that? I think that's the one you could see, which just kind of went shoop into the joint. So that's what we want. So I'm going to do that for all of them. Just heat, and then, come on. There we go. Okay, so that one flowed on the wrong side, so I had to actually pull it across. So here's the fun thing about solder is that, let's see, is it on camera? Yeah. Solder flows towards heat. So if it flows somewhere you don't want it to, you actually can use the heat oftentimes to coax it to come back. My little pile of soldered ones. Okay, there we go. So that is 6 soldered circles. Yahoo! Oh, suture, not structure. Sorry, Rune. That's even worse.
Yeah.
Like, because... Yeah. Okay. So, I want these to cool down, and here's a trick. If you are too lazy or forgetful, like me, to bring quench water out when you're soldering, if you have something that is steel, you can put your pieces on the steel, and it will leach away the heat a lot faster than leaving them on your solder board for a couple of reasons. Number one, your solder board is actually designed to be hot. It's designed to absorb heat and reflect it back at your work, so that's not good for cooling things off.
No.
And secondly, it's not conductive like the steel block is. So my steel block has cooled my stuff down, which is nice. So now we're going to go ahead and work on forming these into our loops. And so I need 2 crochet hooks or pieces of tubing that are the same size. Okay, so these 2 pieces of tubing are the same size, so we're going to use those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pieces of tubing, and this is actually something that I think shows better on the face cam. Right? Seriously, 6 soldered circles. So I'm going to take my 2 pieces of tubing, and you want something that's fairly sturdy, so hopefully I'm not going to bend my tubing when I do this, because we're going to be pulling on this pretty hard. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, so these circles are smaller than my samples, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to help myself out just a little bit by taking my circles and giving them a bit of a squeeze to make them a bit more oval, for the main reason that I can't get my hands in there to grab my tubing. So hopefully this will give me just that little bit of space I need. So I've got a tubing through each side of my oval, and what I want to be able to do is grab my 2 tubings and pull apart. Okay, you guys are you're too fat. So hold on. Okay, trying again with skinnier tubings. Hopefully that'll give me room. Yeah, okay, so what I want is I want this. So I've got my 2 pieces of tubing, one on either end of my oval, and then I just have my fingers through. And I mean, it's a little bit of a finger party here. It's kind of like, here's the church, here's the steeple, but I've got a good firm grip on each of my pieces of tubing with each hand. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull them apart and I'm going to twist them. And don't break your own fingers while you're doing this, but you're just going to pull really hard and twist. It's a nice little, depending on where you pull from, it can be a nice, like a lat workout or like a triceps workout or a biceps workout. So I'm just pulling apart. And what you should have is, you should wind up with this. So yes, you can do this with pliers. There are actually even specific pliers that are made for spreading things, but I just do it with two pieces of tubings. But yeah, there are pliers that specifically do that, but I like my little, and it doesn't have to be tubing, it just has to be something that's cylindrical. So crochet hooks are really, really handy for this, especially the bitty ones. So I'm just squishing everything into ovals right now, and then I'm going to grab the tubes and I'm going to pull them out. See, all these things I remember. When we get to putting this chain together, this is where you may see the train just plummet off the tracks. I'm just warning you right now. Okay, so I've got my loop on my tubing, and I'm just going to pull my tubes apart from each other and twist them gently. I'm not trying to actually like spin this, but just the twisting really helps get the straighter sides of your kind of lozenge shape that we're doing here. Sorry, that's where I drilled myself between streams the other night. The bandage was just driving me nuts because I felt like I could not pick anything up with this giant fat bandaged thumb. So again, 6 of these, here we go. Make all your fingers play nice with each other, pull, twist. Ta-da! 3 more. I do those a little bit more quickly. Okay, so let's talk real quick about single loop and loop chain versus double loop and loop chain. Okay, so what we're going to be doing basically, whether I can actually do it or not, is we're going to be taking these, we're going to pinching them in the middle and folding them in half to make a little horseshoe. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be interlocking each single horseshoe with the next single horseshoe. Now, if you're doing double loop and loop chain, what you do is you make one horseshoe and then you make another 90 degrees rotated from it, and you link that way. So instead of rotating 180 degrees per horseshoe, you're rotating 90 degrees per horseshoe, and somehow that makes it 7,000 million degrees more complicated, and I'm still not good at it, which is why we're doing single. I would like to be good at it. I do not have enough time to noodle with things and make myself good at things as I would like. Because sometimes you just got to screw it up 17 times before you do it right, which is great. And I have no problem with screwing something up 17 times, except for the fact that I usually have time to, try it 0.5 times. If I'm not good at it by then it gets kicked off the island. Okay, so here we have, right? Seriously, I mean, you gotta screw up. Like, that's how you learn. How you learn is screwing up. Like, it's just the way that it works. However, when you have a limited amount of time, you need to pick your battles. See my burn fitchy? I still haven't changed my background. I know, but eventually you do. Eventually you will learn it, and eventually you'll be awesome at it. It just takes time and practice and messing up. It really does take messing up to get good at something. Because you can ask Heather at some point about her learning to knit. And the fact that she learned to knit perfectly, which was great until she was at home knitting and screwed up and didn't know how to fix it.
100%.
So,
I had to start over to fix my mistake.
So, screwing up is invaluable. Oh, dang it. Oh my gosh. See, I can do a French braid on myself, but for some reason I have not yet mastered a Dutch braid on myself. I'm growing my hair back out, so maybe this winter will be the winter that I will finally figure out. Well, I mean, I know how to do it. I can Dutch braid on a wig. I can Dutch braid on somebody else, but not on myself, for whatever reason. Probably because, as Rune just stated, it's backwards. Thank you. I got this. Yay. I just need to practice on header.
Okay.
Also, I need a bail making pliers. BRB. So maybe Heather will be my mannequin. Because, I mean, it's way more fun to braid a Heather's hair than to braid a wig's hair. Because, the wig don't care. Okay.
I love it.
Okay, so now I'm going to take my pliers. I'm going to use my round nose. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to pinch these in the middle. So that I make these little kind of peanut-shaped links. See, I'm doing well. I have fear in my heart for the step after the next step. Also, I found somebody, okay, Etsy is just the worst. I mean, it's the best and it's also the worst. Because, of course, I was looking for one thing and I wound up down a rabbit hole. But I found an artist that makes really cool, Viking style, clip-in braids. They clip in here and then, go around the back of your head and down. And I really, really want one. And I have no reason to have one. But they're so cool.
I'm pretty sure there is only the reason of wanting one.
Well, okay, fair, but should save the money for important things like space charms.
Well, there's that.
Okay, so now I have my veil making pliers and I'm going to make these each into a little U shape. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my veil making pliers, and for anybody who's not familiar with these, this is a plier that instead of a round nose or even a bigger round nose, instead of having a tapered jaw, it's got 3 cylinders. of different sizes. The reason that you've got cylinders instead of a tapered is twofold. Number one, you can use this for making coils just like I did on my dowel, and you can get a consistently sized coil, because what you're going to do is you're going to start on one of these and then your coils are going to progress upward, but you're always going to be coiling around the same diameter of pliers, mandrel, armature, take your pick. Whereas if you can make uniform coils using a regular round nose, but it's a lot harder because you really have to pay attention to where exactly on the round nose you are and make sure you stay there. The other thing that you can do, which is what I'm using these for today, is you can use this to bend a piece of strip or two pieces of wire that are next to each other and get a consistent sized bend. Because once again, if I take this and I use my round nose pliers to bend it, the curvature that bends here is going to be bigger than the curvature that bends there. So this is why bail making pliers are useful. Now, could you use, say, a knitting needle, a crochet hook, one of your tubes to bend this around? Absolutely. Bail making pliers are nice because they come with a holding device that is integrated into the pliers. So I'm going to take my bail making pliers and I'm just going to grab that right at that kind of, bow pinch that I made in the center, and then I'm just going to pull these two ends up, pinch them together like so, and that's my link right there. And I'm going to do that with all of these. Again, we haven't gotten to the scary part yet, so again, right now we're still in all the things I know how to do. Okay, fair, so cool, does sound like a good enough reason. Keiko's not wrong. Cheers. But space charms, Keiko, come on. Space charms. I can spread more joy with space charms than I can with a clip-on Viking braid. So there is that. Okay, that was a shite job. Okay, this is not what it's supposed to look like. Okay, the rest of these are good. Like, you want them to be even and symmetrical. This, I don't know what the heck I was doing except for talking about space charms, but that's not cool. That is not going to work well. There we go. That's better. I mean, if I had all of the monies, I would buy the Viking wig thing and space charms. However, I do not have all of the monies, and I mean, that's understandable, Rune. I mean, if Scarlett Johansson were right in front of me, I would get sidetracked too. Okay, now this is the part where I'm just gonna vamp for a minute while I remember how to put this nonsense together. Because, yeah. How you work? So, let's see. Speaking of the MCU, The Marvels is coming out this weekend, and I might actually brave the theater on Sunday to go see it because I'm excited. Julie's sitting here going, "Woman, I could tell you how to do this if you had just called me beforehand." Now I think I just figured it out, so bear with me while I just make sure that I figured it out, and then I will be back on hand cam to show you how to put this cool thing together. But yeah, I'm on the fence about, do I want to go see it on Sunday or not? I know I want to go see it, but part of me is like, well, okay, I could go see it on Sunday, or I could wait until it comes out on streaming and I could watch it in my pajamas. And that is a very, very tempting thought because yeah, I definitely pajamas in movies should be the norm. Oh crap, Rune, I'm sorry, that sucks. That's like, I mean, and I know that Joss Whedon is a trash human, but that was always like the Whedon-verse thing as well, is especially as the series were coming to their close, he'd just be like, yep, done. He did. She did. They did. Everybody did. So, I'm sorry. But I'm glad that you are getting comfort writing fanfic about your characters. Like, that's awesome. Like, giving them lives beyond what the Hollywood corporate greed machine decided they should have. So, that's cool. Okay, so once again, how, right, that's how, okay, figured it out. Though, Loki has a TV series now, which, the series finale, or season finale, I think was last night. Lee and I are supposed to watch it when I get home, but I need to watch the previous episode because I don't remember it because I was very tired. But Tom Hiddleston is freaking kick-ass in the Loki TV series. I will say, like, I love it so much. So much. So anyway, back to Chain. You know, you be an angry noodle as long as you want to be an angry noodle. You could be an angry danger noodle with a hat. You could boop to snoot. Boop. Did I tell you all that Dallas, my boyfriend's dog, came in? I don't know if I told you either, Heather, but I was working in the office, because I'm always working, and she came in and she booped me with her snoot.
Yay!
Because she wanted treats. But it was still adorable because she came in and she like booped my knee with her snoot. It was fun. Okay, so let's put this thing together, shall we? Woo! Because Allison finally figured it out. Hee hee! Danger noodle! Rune is a danger noodle.
Sweet.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take two of our little horseshoe guys and we're going to orient them so that they're perpendicular to each other. And what we're going to do is we're going to interlock them like so. So I'm going to take, so we're not going to like go through this loop at all, but I'm just going to take, you know, this paddle essentially right here and go straight through like so. And then witchcraft happens. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this and I'm going to yank it around like so. So I went from here, and what I did is I rotated in this plane a quarter of a turn and up a quarter of a turn like so. So again, that's from here to here. And that is the first link of your loop and loop chain. Now, mine is very stiff. And so this is where playing with the proportions of your wire to the size of your link, to the size of your loop, is gonna yield you a flexible chain. This is not a flexible chain. This is a chain stick. But that's okay because this is just for learning how to make this. So I'm going to grab another link and I'm going to, and it doesn't really matter which of these you start with. You just got to find a pair of loops. And I'm going to use this pair of loops because they're a little bit bigger. You're going to stick this one through 90 degrees, like so. And then you're going to grab it and you're going to rotate it being a pain in my ass. You're gonna wait for a minute. Okay, I just needed it to snap in. Sorry. Backtrack. Rewind. Okay, so you've got it in there, and then you're just gonna rotate it up and around. And there we go. Yes, I love me some Tom Hiddleston. I have for quite a while.
He's just endearing and cute.
He's endearing and cute and hot all at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, so again,
It's quite a feat, actually.
I mean, he's talented. So, and he's actually a good actor too, which, you know.
Which is gross. He shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah. So through and then. So yeah, so this is the thing that's like that's the tough one, is you got to get that little rotation in there, and sometimes it's hard just because of the proportions of your loops. So there's my loop and loop chain. Again, single loop and loop chain, okay? Double loop and loop chain is witchcraft, and I can't do it. This is single loop and loop chain. So we're going to take this, and I'm just going to get a proof to you that you can start at either end. So this is the end I was just working on. I'm going to go to this end now. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go through, again, 90 degrees, like so. So what I have is I've got my, you know, my chain here, and I'm going through 90 degrees, and then I'm going to, and you can feel free to yank. I'm going to yank it up and through, like so. And then I do like to kind of pinch these guys together. All right, I got una mas, so we're gonna go again 90 degrees, like so, and then just yank it. So what you're going for is you want these two loops to wind up here. So we're gonna grab them, and we're just gonna yank them in that direction. And what's gonna happen, because of the way that the chain is made, is it's going to, for the most part, kind of, if you provide the right amount of force in the right vector, it's going to do what it's supposed to do, even if you're not 100% sure what that actually is. If you're like, I think you're supposed to do a thing here, and I think I'm supposed to yank you this direction, it will do the thing if you just yank it the right direction with a sufficient amount of force. So this is my 6 links of loop and loop chain. So this could be a really cool bracelet if I did a lot more of it, but as you have noticed, it's a fair amount of work. So it could also be a really kick-ass earring. So part of you is probably thinking, but Allison, you know, these links are not secured in any way. Could they come apart? And that's one reason why I tend to do the little extra pinchy pinch thing that I do after I link them together. But no, they're not going to come apart. They're linked. They're not inextricably linked. Like if you wanted to unlink this, like say you screwed something up, you could absolutely, take, you know, your pliers and unlink them, but they're not going to just unlink themselves. If I were going to make this a bracelet, so just assume that this is now a piece that's 8 inches long, you just take a jump ring, nice sturdy jump ring, and jump ring around those two there to attach one side of your clasp, and then jump ring around these two here to attach the other side of your clasp. So attaching a clasp to your loop and loop chain is very, very simple once you've completed it. So again, all the work in this is, you're welcome, Kenneth. All the work in this is in actually creating the thing. Finishing it is absolutely a breeze once you've got it all linked together. So, or were you thinking Keiko? I bet you were thinking Keiko, not me. Sorry. Thank you, Keiko, for not derailing the stream again, because once again, I'm actually doing a teaching thing and doing it, I think, fairly well. But if there were, you know, if things were said, I don't know that the stream would stay on track. But the good news is we're done with the project. So we've created 6 whole links of loop in loop chain, single loop in loop chain. Again, maybe someday I will master double loop in loop chain, and then I will show you. So yes, so that is a good point. So since the joining process requires no heat at all, yes, you want to, so if you have a tumbler, you can join the chain together and then throw it in the tumbler and it'll come out nice and shiny. But if you're finishing by hand, like Lori just brought up, which is an excellent point, if you're finishing by hand, either with seal wool or with a flex shaft, you want to clean each loop actually before you even pinch it. Just clean it when it's a circle, and then you can put your chain together, because there's nothing during the assembly of your chain that's going to oxidize any of your loops. But yes, of course, as per my usual, a tumbler is the easiest way to finish it. So I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to put it in the tumbler, and it's going to get nice. Woo! Excuse me. It's going to get nice and shiny. So that, peoples, was our second edition of single loop and loop chain. I did remember how to do the project. I'm very proud of myself for that. You'll also notice that I did actually manage to achieve some movement in my chain, which I'm very happy about. I would love to have the patience and the time to make myself an entire single loop and loop chain bracelet, because I think that would be really cool. So, you know, this is also one of those things. I have some things that are like cumulative projects. Like if I'm at the end of a soldering session and I'm like, I've got a little bit more energy. I don't have enough energy to like, hi Diane. I don't have enough energy to, you know, plan and execute another piece, but I could solder for 10 more minutes. Then you can make some loop and loop chain links. And you could take this, you know, 6-link piece of chain, and just over, you know, a year of soldering sessions, you could, you know, create an entire chain. So it's because there's no reason I can't set this piece aside for an indefinite amount of time and then come back to it and make it longer. Like, that's one of the cool things about this particular project, is you can just add to it over an indefinite amount of time, which is nice if you don't really have the time. I mean, I know a year, are you saying a year is long or a year is short? Because I feel like a year is probably short, but you can just keep accumulating, and eventually you'll have a bracelet or a necklace. Depends on how many years you want to let it accumulate. You know, and you can even just make the circles, and then, you know, when you have the energy or the time, you can, you know, make them into the links. It's a nice project for just like, hey, I don't have a lot of spoons right now to make a project, but I can do something that contributes towards a project that I'm already making. So that's my spoony theory soldering thing. But so we did 6 links of single loop and loop chain. So thank you guys so much for focus. Dang it, camera, come on. You know you want to. No, you don't want to. There's too many other things to focus on. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out for Fire Friday single loop in loop chain. So tomorrow is Freeform Saturday, and I just got a bunch of new wax seals that I'm going to try smashing into bronze metal clay, and I'm going to see how it works. I mean, I know how it works, but I'm excited to use my new seals. So tomorrow is going to be Freeform Saturday, which is going to be a bronze metal clay freeform. And Heather may even hang out with me and do some metal clay stuff as well. So that's going to be tomorrow, Freeform Saturday. And then, since we are doing the library science fiction thing next week, our 2 tutorials next week are going to be space themed. So, and we'll be working at on that as well, figuring out what kind of spacey stuff we want to do for next week. But for now, I think that's going to be it for this Friday night tutorial. So thank you all again so much for hanging out with me for the single loop and loop chain for my 6-hole link, my giant piece that I made here. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, and I think that's it. So we'll see you back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. for Freeform Saturday, bronze clay. Everyone have a good night. I love you all. We love you all so much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.